Welcome to episode 71 of the Bikini Besties podcast. I'm Lo.
Kaylia.
Stephanie.
And this week is a special episode. It is our first virtual guest, Dr. Dove. So we're really excited to have you here.
Hey.
So
Thank you so much for having me. This is so exciting. I listen to you guys all the time and work with staff, and it's just so nice to be here joining you girls. I don't have a big D bag, but
well, we're really, really excited to have you here, and thank you for being our first virtual guest. It's exciting to be able to reach more people, and we are really, really excited to hear a little bit about your story, and then kind of a few reasons on why we're having you on here, since Steph and you work together. So let's start off with introducing yourself.
yeah, so my name is Dove Putterman. I am an IFBB Wellness Pro. I'm also a mom. I'm a mom of 5. So I had interesting thing that, people always find something interesting about me is that I had 2 kids and then went for a third and ended up with triplets. So I have 5 kids. I had 5 kids under the age of 5 when I was like 31, which was crazy. Always somewhat fit, well, I don't want to say somewhat, but I was always fit in some way, like doing something, either classes. Never thought in a million years that I would step on stage in a bikini after delivering triplets. And I'm also a dentist. That is what I graduated school for, and I practiced probably until I had the triplets. I would say I practiced full time until I was like 3 months pregnant. Mm-hmm. And now I just own my practices, and I go in as needed, see patients here and there. And yeah, I always joke that I'm a full-time bodybuilder, part-time dentist. Full-time mom, full-time bodybuilder, part-time dentist.
Yeah. That is crazy. Under 5 at 31, because I'm 31 in 2 weeks, and I can't imagine 1.
No, same.
Well, it's like, I feel like it's harder to go from 0 to 1 than like 1 to anything else. Yeah. Like 0 to 1 is literally, you have like you're not responsible for anyone but yourself. Yeah. You wake up, nobody's like asking you for anything. Yeah. You're just like, okay, you might have a job you go to, but like otherwise, you just worry about yourself.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
A husband to keep alive. That's my
you can't not eat, but like imagine you weren't a bodybuilder, right? Like you just like, I'm tired tonight. I don't want to like make dinner. Yeah. Just go to bed. Yeah. Eat shit. Get drunk on a random Tuesday. Yeah. And then you like
girl dinners.
And have this thing. Yeah. And you're like, damn.
Yeah.
I have to be like a parent.
A parent.
But then I think like after that, it's just like whatever. And then like 2 to 5 was just our lives were normal, and then they were like very abnormal at the time. Now it's like I feel like to everyone else, especially other moms, they're like, oh my God, this is like so crazy. Like, I don't know how you do it. And it's like so normal to us now, to my husband and I, that I don't remember or know any other way. Like, I'm like, I don't understand. Like, you have dinner at a table and there's 4 of you and it's civilized. Yeah. What? This is not my life. So, yeah, it's all I know now.
I love it. So what got you into bodybuilding?
Honestly, like I said, I've always been, like, I always did something fitness related, and I think it was just like the evolution of just what was trendy, like what was trending at the time. So like, I think I was kind of late to the game with like social media. I never had Facebook, and then I got Instagram, and I happened to follow somebody who was like competing at like a regional show here in Ontario. Yeah. And I just like became so interested in what she was doing. Like I was like, she wakes up, she like meal preps, she does her cardio, and then like watching her body transform. And I'm one of those people that, I get interested in something and then I like go all in. Like I just dive right into it, and I'm like, I want to do this too. And it was, I think I have a level of delusion that's like worked for me in a lot of ways, because most people, after going, like putting their body through what I put it through, carrying triplets till like almost 36 weeks, like 2 days shy. I had a massive hernia. As a result, I had like a scar for a belly button. So like I was always self-conscious about that. Obviously there's like stretch marks on my stomach, scar, like my core that we'll talk about, which is what led me into LPF. Just, yeah, and just everything. I was so far away from any sort of stage physique. I was doing like cardio classes, and I don't know, I guess it was just like a thought one day, and I just like went all in, and I'm like, nope, I'm gonna do this. This makes sense. I'm gonna eat. I'm gonna build muscle. And so I just started working with a trainer, and then a couple years later, hooked up with another trainer who actually is a former Olympian, a classic physique Olympian. So he was in prep for the Olympia, and I was again just like so fascinated with everything he was doing. And one thing led to another, and COVID hit, and never saw myself on stage. I was just like, I'm not like the popular girl, you know? Like it just seemed like it was like the girl. Like I was really like nerdy growing up, you know? Like it was just. I didn't fit in my mind, didn't fit into that mold of being a competitor. I'm sorry to say that it's a mold. It's not, but it's just, you know, I just felt like it was me. Yeah. And then, you know, during COVID, the coach I was with, he was like, you really should do it. Like, you know, especially when wellness came out, because that's what my body's built for. And I was just like, yeah, you know what? The world's ending.
Might as well step on stage and we'll go all in.
Yeah, I did it. Entered a regional show here in Toronto. Won every class. Won the overall. And then a week later, tried to go for my pro card. Came in second. And I always say, a true athlete never wins second. They lose first. And losing first, which stung at that show because I should. I just like came back with like such a fire in me. I was like, I am going back, and because at first I was just gonna do like one show and be done. Yeah. And then I was like, no, I gotta go back now. I got like you're hooked, right?
Yep.
8 months later, I went on stage again and won my pro card, and then I was like, well, now I gotta compete as a pro. So here I
know. Was that the Toronto Pro, the first national show?
Yeah, the natural Canadian natural pro qualifier.
Oh, okay,
yeah. Yeah. So, and then usually it happens only once a year, but because it was a COVID year, they did it twice because they like missed one. So
okay.
I was lucky, so I got to do it in the same year. So at first, like after the first show where I came in second, I was like quitting. Like I was like, whatever, this is stupid. I'm not doing this anymore. And then I just kept, you know, you say one thing, but your heart leads you in a different direction.
Yeah.
So, you know, I'm like, I quit, but at the same time, I'm still like coaching with my coach and posing.
Following everything.
Like I'm saying that I quit. And then when it was like about, I think 12 weeks from the show, he's like, so, you know, you put on quite a bit of muscle. You wanna do the show? And I'm like, 12 weeks out, let's go. Let's go.
I guess we're doing this.
Just my personality, I guess. Just stubborn that way. But it was, you know, bodybuilding really showed me like the power of just putting your mind to something and how you can completely change a physique that, you know, I have a better, and I'm not saying this to brag, but like I have a better physique than like a lot of 20-year-olds right now. Like, you know, and I'm just from 43 and I'm mom to 5. So it's insane the power of like consistency and fueling your body and resistance training, all those things that I'm so happy that like I found because, you know, I'm strong for my kids, but I'm also like super happy with my physique.
Yeah.
Of course, when I'm like checking pictures, I pick it apart.
Like everyone.
When I'm like looking cute for like a kid's birthday party, I'm like, damn, I look good.
You're like, that's me.
And your kids also get to see you.
Nobody needs to know that I need a little bit more quad sleep.
I was gonna say, and then your kids also get to see you like, you know, stick with something every day and kind of show up for yourself.
100%. Yeah. And that was one of the things, you know, I was worried kind of getting into it with my eldest. So I have so the triplets are boys, and then I have another son who was my second, and then my eldest is my only girl.
Oh.
And, you know, she was kind of at that, like, age where she's, like, starting to hear more about dieting and things like that. And I was, like, worried, like, what's she going to say if I'm, like, weighing my food? I kind of, like, hit it what's she gonna think? And then I spoke to, my kids play hockey, I spoke to a mom on the hockey team who was a physician and specifically like specialized in eating disorders. And she said, no, she's like, this is the opposite. Because if anything, she's going to see you, you know, fueling your body, eating for your goals, being consistent, eating healthy, eating in abundance, which is so true. Like even now, you know, being in prep, I'm still eating like quite a bit, like a lot. And I would say a lot. I in prep still eat more than some of my friends who aren't bodybuilders because all their, you know, they'll go for lunch and have like a salad and, you know, maybe some chicken, and then they'll leave like half of it, no dressing, you know, because they're all like on this, in this race to try and be skinny, be thin.
Yeah.
But I'm like, no, I'm gonna hit legs, like give me baked potatoes.
I need to eat.
That's the example, really. But it's been great for her, and she's following in my footsteps. All of them want to train, and all of them want to like eat more protein. Do I have enough protein in this meal? It's all like good questions. You know, there isn't anything. Nobody here wants to be smaller.
Yeah. And it's all in how you
Everybody
frame
wants to
it.
be stronger. So
Like-
I definitely think this is something that like moms shouldn't be scared to do or show their kids.
Mm-hmm.
I love that. It just shows them like the intention behind it versus like
Yep.
that there's more to it than when you're measuring. Measuring food doesn't mean that you're starving yourself.
Restricting.
Measuring food has
100%.
intention and
Yeah.
purpose
Yep.
and fuel and a lot
Exactly,
more.
and it's all how you word it to your kids, right? Like it's what's better, like saying, hey, like I got to make sure that I have, you know, 80 grams of chicken in this meal so that I get enough protein, versus like the mom who goes out for lunch and says, oh no, like I'm not going to have any dessert because I ate too much today.
Yeah.
Or
I
I'll just have a
can't.
salad. You know, like, you know, what's better for them to listen to. So at the end of the day, like kids are going to learn about dieting from social media. They're going to see the what I eat in a day videos. It's just, you can't hide. You can't hide those. You can't protect your kids from that. But you know, you're their biggest role model. So
Absolutely.
as a mom, you know, you have to make sure that you're showing them the right thing to do. And there's nothing wrong with wanting a good physique, or there's not, you know, there's nothing wrong than wanting to look good, wanting to look good.
Yeah.
Or wanting to be comfortable in your skin. That's just, you know, that's life, that's society. I don't want any of my kids to grow up and just be like, I'm gonna let myself go. Like, no, like we work out, we eat right. Those are all good things to teach your kids.
Yeah. And it's really inspiring to hear like your story of like you have probably had a moment where it was a decision where you could have like leaned into letting go or leaned into how do I improve my life. I have so much more life to live for my children. And it's really cool to hear. It's so inspiring to hear how you chose to move forward. Because it is inspiring to other moms. It's inspiring because like I want to be a mom.
To become,
And it's like you were saying, going from 0 to 1 is like the biggest change. And I'm like,
it's hard,
I'm like thinking of we were
we were
talking
talking about earlier.
And it's like going from 0 to 1. I was like, that's just like almost scary.
Yeah.
And then even on like our personal bodies, because we put so much time and effort into it being bodybuilders before children. And it's like, but just hearing how just like we have so much knowledge from being competitors, and then hearing
which
someone
is amazing. You're gonna have
transition
such
that
great
way.
pregnancies because of it.
Yeah.
Honestly. Like I wish I was like, well, listen, the triplets, that was like a different beast of a pregnancy. But like when I was pregnant with like my singletons, like the first two, this was me. I would have a positive pregnancy test, and I'm like, oh, I'm pregnant. I'm gonna order a large pizza because I gotta feed these. And I just sit there and like devour it. Like I send my, you know, those places with the ice cream that you can like choose your toppings and everything.
Yeah.
I'd like send my husband to go. It's like called Yogurties. I don't think you guys have it there, but you like put the frozen yogurt and then you can add your toppings.
Yeah.
And I always had score bits, and it was a walking distance from our house. So he'd walk over, he'd get it, and he'd bring it back. I'd be like, how much did this cost you? And he'll tell me like $10. To be like, no, like go back.
Oh my
Get more.
This is I need a $30 one.
It's not enough.
I mean, if there was enough score, it was at least $15 jar of frozen yogurt. But anyways, I did not take care of my body when I was pregnant. I wish I had the knowledge that I do now, because I would have bounced back so much easier, and I probably would have been left with like better skin and all of that. So I think it's wonderful to do this kind of thing before and learn all these things and work out in your pregnancy.
And I think we've all been introduced to you is because Steph found you as an LPF coach. So I think that's a really good
Mm-hmm.
good transition there. So
Yeah.
did you find LPF, or maybe even start back by explaining to our listeners what LPF is, and maybe how you
So
discovered that?
sure. So LPF, it stands for low pressure fitness, and it's exactly what the title says. It's a method of fitness that focuses on lowering the pressure in our thorax, our abdomen, on our pelvic floor, because if you think most of the day people are walking around with bad posture, or even think about in the gym, squatting and bracing and doing all these things that are actually creating, and then pregnancy is another one, creating a lot of pressure on our pelvic floors. This is both men and women. And then what ends up happening is we lose the connection, one, with our core, how to activate our core. And also, we end up with that bulge in the lower tummy because things just what happens is, first of all, our breath, there's a lot of dysfunction that happens with your breath, and your breath you end up belly breathing a lot of the day, right? So the air always goes to the place of least resistance. So anyway, so going back, so low pressure fitness was developed from what's known as the hypopressive, the vacuum. So this goes back to very early yoga days, like the beginning of yoga. They described something that is basically the stomach vacuum. And then if you think of Arnold era, he had it in his encyclopedia of modern bodybuilding. He had the abdominal vacuum. And then of course physical therapists picked it up to help with postpartum moms and pelvic floor relapse, incontinence, all those things. And then physical therapist, Tamara Rayal, she put it together in she added sort of this posture component. So doing now these abdominal vacuums in specific postures and holding the vacuum in a posture, and each different postures are, more beneficial for certain things, so for example, I have athletes with scoliosis, so they'll do more unilateral kind of postures, or we can talk about Steph for a sec, but
Okay.
Steph, for example, in LPF today, I was telling her to do a lot more of the full arched back, the rounded back postures, because she has a tendency to kind of push her ribs out. So this will ensure that when she's vacuuming, her ribs are in, and she's not always kind of walking around in this inhaled open rib cage position. So that's the posture aspect of LPF. So that's LPF. And then how I got into it is just exactly that. So from the triplets, I had a lot of issues like pelvic floor. I told you I had I had a huge hernia, literally, they couldn't say my belly button. That's how it was. People have this little hernia. This was my intestines just, they were I was at 100 pounds, I was 100 pounds in my stomach. So yeah, after having them, and I had terrible back problems. I couldn't squat my body weight. For it now, I trained legs today, and I did a 2-plate squat, and I didn't have the core strength at all. So I found a local coach here, and we worked on pelvic floor stuff, Kegels, but also we did a little bit of stomach vacuuming. It wasn't LPF. And that was pretty good. And then I did that for a little while. It helped me with some pelvic floor issues, because after you have kids, sometimes you do jumping jacks and get a little bit of leakage, and then get to the washroom in time. That still happens to me peak week. Drew's 5 liters today. I'm okay.
We'll see.
But so did that, it helped, and then started competing. And when I first started posing, I was holy shit, no matter what I do, my stomach just is blown out. And full transparency, I did have the skin removed. I had the tummy tuck after the triplets. I had a huge diastasis. They weren't going in for that major surgery to repair the hernia without getting rid of that skin. That skin will never go away.
Yeah.
But no matter what, I was always, anytime I tried to pull my stomach in, I would pull in the top, suck in the top, but the bottom was still kind of pooch, you know, like I had like this mum tongue.
Yeah.
There's like no fat there. Like this is like when I was already like dieting, and so I found LPF through just like the wellness community online, because a lot of the Brazilian girls, they're like really big into LPF. So I coach with Karina Angi, who is in Brazil. And I've been with her for a while. So she introduced me to this world of LPF, and that's really what made the big difference for me. So I still struggle with, you know, flared ribs myself, just because of everything my body's been through. And I don't know if I'll ever be able to make them perfect, but lucky for my athletes, I've become a flared rib specialist. Because
we're all improving
that's
together,
all
because it's been huge for me, because I experienced that too, where I would be, you know, on stage or stage lean, and it would be like, I don't even remember some of the cues coaches would give me of just hold your core in, stay tight.
Yeah,
and
stomach.
Yeah, and so I was more of an upper ab gripper. I can't remember if that's what you call it, but
yeah,
I would hold kind of, more towards my ribs or my diaphragm, and then I'd feel like I was holding, and then to even go tighter, it's like I was almost having to hold my breath. And it was making my posing conditioning difficult to even
and you were sucking it in, and think about what happens, you know, when we suck air in, right? Like when we kind of inhale, what happens? Your rib cage actually expands. Right? So when we inhale, the rib cage expands, the diaphragm flattens. And when you hold that, then what happens on stage, right? You end up with this like really big rib cage. And not only that, it's also really difficult to hold and I think that a lot of competitors that have been competing for a long time and really haven't learned this way of breathing, they were always taught, and this is how I was taught in the beginning too, is, you know, hold your stomach in and then keep your breaths just up here.
Yeah.
And you end up building like this crazy carbon dioxide tolerance, because this is so hard to keep your breath up here. So what we're working on now with Steph is more just learning how to exhale and use the exhale to not just like calm your nervous system down, but get that rib cage super tight, super closed, and also just be able to breathe. And I think you're finding it a lot more comfortable now than before, when you're just like, and you also, before, I feel like had no connection with your core.
No, it was very, very weak. I think my connection with my transverse especially was difficult, because I think it also had to do with just not knowing what it meant to control your core. Because or engage
to feel
your
engaged.
Core. Yeah, engage your core.
And that's the thing.
Yeah.
You don't have a mirror on stage, so you really need to be able to feel it. You need to have those connections, and that's what LPF teaches you too. Because at the end of a vacuum, you know, we'll inhale, exhale, we'll do a vacuum, and then out of the vacuum you inhale, and then you exhale. And as you exhale, you really I always tell the athletes, like, pay attention to what your stomach feels like as you exhale out of that vacuum, because that's kind of like that transverse, bringing that rib cage back close together. So, if you know, we have 2 layers of abs. Okay, I'll call the outer layer of your stomach muscles abs, and the inner layer is your core. So I think a lot of people get those confused. So your abs, that's your rectus abdominis. So that's like your six pack.
Visible.
And that's, you know, what does that do? It kind of like flexes the spine, right? So when you think of crunches, things like that, that's what that's working. And underneath that, we have our transverse, and the fibers run this way. So the transverse is like the corset. It's like the waist trainer of your abdomen. So that's another misconception. A lot of people who are trying to fight rib flares are always like, oh my God, but I'll do vacuums. It like flares my ribs. My ribs will become even more flared. But actually, the tighter the transverse gets and the stronger it gets, the more it has the ability to close the rib cage and also to shrink your waist. So that's what, you know, these vacuums help with. And I think, you know, Steph showed me today a before and after picture from, I think, like I had just started working with you after that show, Wasatch.
Yeah.
And to today, and it's like night and day, like inches off her waist, and just the shape, her posture, everything. So like the posture also comes from LPF as well, like learning how to control our breath in the back posture. But yeah, when she started, I would say to her, like, I was worried. I was like, I
think you said that after. Let's be real. It was like a couple weeks after. You were like, "Oh my God, do you remember where you started?" And I'm like, "I don't remember you saying that to me in my first class."
This was it. Like, I met her the first time, and she couldn't. And it's so crazy because, like, you would think bodybuilders are like the easiest to teach how to vacuum.
Mm-hmm.
But honestly, like, if a bodybuilder doesn't know how to vacuum, it's like the hardest, especially if they are people who go to the gym and do crunches. Mm-hmm. Because their engagement is squeeze the rectus abdominis, squeeze my six pack. And that's what Steph was doing. And when you are squeezing your six pack, your transverse can't engage, and we can't get that. What we're doing with the vacuum, we're getting a negative pressure, so we're trying to lift everything, and everything needs to be relaxed. There can't be any tension. But I would tell her, okay, we would go inhale, exhale, and I'd just be like, just relax your abs, and now slowly vacuum. And then she'd be like, and we did session after session, and she would send me videos, and with each video I was like, man, she is like, really, she wants to get this. But I'm like, I don't know if I can help her.
And then we became friends somewhere along this whole journey.
One day.
There was a moment.
It's crazy how it happens. And all of a sudden she let go of her abs, and she got this like beautiful deep vacuum, and I was like,
there it is.
And that's what I love about you, Steph, is that you are just like so consistent. You're so dedicated to your process, and that's why I love working with you, because I know you're gonna
get there eventually. Eventually, it's a journey.
Yeah.
No, but not everybody. Like, a lot of people, I've seen a lot of athletes that give up.
Yeah.
They don't get it, or they don't like it, or they don't believe in it. Mm-hmm. And so they give it up, and it's sad to see, because LPF is one of those things that you have to put in the time, like anything, right? Oh, yeah. The nice thing about LPF is that for most athletes, they haven't really trained their transverse in this way. Mm-hmm. So, when you're doing something like a crunch, that's almost all external abs. Like, that's almost like zero transverse. If you're squatting, you're bracing, you'll get some transverse there. Mm-hmm. But LPF is doing a proper abdominal vacuum. That's pure, almost 100% your transverse muscle. That's the core set of your waist. So when you start vacuuming and training that muscle, it's almost like newbie gains in the beginning. And I think, you just get stronger so quickly. So
I also went through that phase of like, oh my God, I'm never going to get this kind of thing. And,
Yeah, you did.
Is it going
to
help posing wise? But yes, the consistency. But I think one thing that helped to push me to continue to try to learn is that it really did help me learn how to brace better in the gym and like training and stuff.
Yeah.
Because it was a lot of my journey with Fit Body has been about my mobility and not necessarily about I guess training in general. Like it was more focused on not that I didn't focus on the training, but it was more of a basis of mobility. Like, I had 3 mobility days a week in my training plan when I first started, and I cut down on my leg days. And
your mobility, you were...
Yeah, it was huge.
And even still, we're still working through some of that with certain poses that I'm just like, okay, we're going to skip that one.
But it helps with your lifts.
Sorry?
It helps with your lifts quite a bit, like just in terms of...
Oh, yeah. So if you think about it, and this is another common question, and I don't know I can't remember now, were you wearing a belt that you're not, or a waist trainer?
I was wearing a belt for some of my deadlifts. Waist trainer I did use, not as... I think when I was an amateur, I used it a lot more, and then as I became... when I became a pro, I didn't use it as much. Because I found that I was more dependent on it. And so I was trying to out-train myself from being as dependent on it. But now this prep, I haven't used it at all. I think last prep, like in April, I used it maybe, I want to say less than 5 times. So I feel like it's gradually decreased.
Yeah. Do you guys use waist trainers?
No, I was going to ask your opinion on that because, I'm very curious. Yeah. I don't use one.
Yeah. So it's such a common question I always ask the athletes that I'm meeting if they use a waist trainer and a belt. So I have an opinion on both. So for me, waist trainers are garbage. Like, I don't think they do anything. And in fact, I think they do a lot of damage if they're worn constantly. There are some coaches that will still recommend waist trainers for very specific situations. So for example, atrophying, let's say, like really thick obliques.
Okay.
So if like if you're keeping them in like that and they can't move, so let's say you're doing like elliptical or something for your cardio and you can't twist their, it's really hard to say that's not going to work, because it does work in practice. Like, you'll talk to athletes. I spoke to one of my athletes that uses it for that purpose, and she's like, no, like my obliques came down a lot. So, what are you supposed to say? This is like a pro that's going to the Olympia, and like, what are you supposed to say to her? Like, no, throw out your waist trainer. Like, I don't agree. So I think it's okay as long as you're wearing it correctly. And what I mean when I say wearing it correctly is exactly what you said, Steph. To your point, you can't rely on it. So and I will just say that almost 100% of people do. So if you're wearing a waist trainer in the gym and you use it to, let's say, squat, pay attention to what your stomach is doing when you finish that exercise. And I can guarantee that it is just hanging out against that waist trainer, because what's the waist trainer? It's basically, you've taken your transverse and you've put it on the outside of your body. So now, why would your transverse work? It ends, we call it like a lazy core. You end up having a lazy core.
Yeah.
So instead of, teaching and like having your posture at all times, having that engagement, you've now just, for sure your posture's not good, like wearing that waist trainer, because again, why would you use the muscles that stabilize your spine?
I haven't had a lot of issues with core control in my lower abs, but when I wore a waist trainer, like, you could see in my leggings that like it would drop, like I would like actually have a pooch that I've never had before, and I felt like it like,
because it
and so I felt like I went backwards.
We're like, you're
pushing down
your pelvic floor, right? So think about like, and not only that, the air is also getting in there, because think about, again, for us to take these like nice, I'm putting my hands on my rib cage so you can't see, but for us to take these nice diaphragmatic breaths, our rib cage needs to move. So if we've locked it now with this waist trainer, and it's like this competition, who can like get their waist trainer tighter? Oh my God, I'm on the last row. Like, it's the worst competition ever. This is like, it's a competition we have with ourselves. Like, I used to do it too. I'd be like, oh my God, look, like I'm on the end of my waist trainer. It's like horrible, because now your rib cage is stuck like this. Diaphragm like is stuck, it can't move, right? So what happens? You've put a belt on a balloon, so where does the air go? It's either gonna pop down here, or it's gonna go to the place of least resistance, or pelvic floor. And so that's why a lot of people see that bulge under their waist trainer, under their belts, things like that. So to me, a waist trainer is aesthetic. If you're going out, you want to stick one of those like Kim K things on to have like a small waist, like that's the waist trainer. That's what it's used for. I would not have it anywhere in bodybuilding. The only time I would say like, and this doesn't even work. I talked to Jamie about this and she's like, this doesn't even work. But I have girls that do this. They'll like throw it on like a couple weeks at a show just to do cardio, so they sweat around their like midsection. They think they're dropping water in that area, or like getting tighter there. And as soon as you drink, you're just it's gonna come back. So no place for waist trainers. Also, they're almost impossible, even if you were to wear one, let's say for your lift, which I'm gonna get into talking about belts. It's like impossible to just, unless there are those ones that with the Velcro. Maybe those are a bit better, but it's harder to like take on and off versus like a belt that you can take on and off. So now talking about belts, should we wear a lifting belt? So as an LPF coach, I have to say like, no lifting belt, no waist trainer, no tight pants, like nothing tight here. Like, we should be able to do everything with our core. As a bodybuilder and as somebody who trains for wellness, which, I'm hitting like super heavy squats, I truly believe that like there comes a point where the weight you're lifting is so heavy that your core might not match the strength necessary to lift that weight. And there's nothing wrong with that because you're not training core when you're squatting, you're training legs. So if you want to get the maximum lift out of that set, sometimes you do need to create an external core set to have your spine stabilized more, so to be able to push against it. Okay, I'm not against everything that creates pressure. So when we do those motions, what we're doing, we're creating a lot of pressure. That pressure of like our external abs, our transverse external obliques, everything's tight to stabilize your spine as you go down. And now on top of that, we're going to put a belt so we can create even more pressure to stabilize the spine. We need that pressure to lift the weight.
Right, yeah.
That's the only way. Is it good for our core and our pelvic floor? No, it's terrible. This is what we do, right? We bodybuild. Like, not everything that you're going to do is going to be perfect for every
right. There's pros and
it's
cons.
not going to all match.
Yeah.
So what can we do? So you keep your belt off for your warm-up sets, and then you're going really heavy, so you throw that belt on. Maybe don't tighten it till the end, like just throw it on till it's like snug. Go down, create that big pressure. Sure, in that moment, pelvic floor is dropping, things are not
ideal,
great, but it's like, what are we doing? 3 heavy sets, maybe 6 per workout. So as long as you're doing things out of those sets that retrain and reposition that viscera, like LPF, I feel like you're good. It's like so what I was saying is, like, as an LPF coach, they would say no to everything. Like, your stomach shouldn't bulge when you're lifting. Right. But like, you watch anybody who's even not wearing the belt, what happens at the bottom of their squat, right? Their stomach bulges, and that comes from they need to make that pressure to stabilize their spine. So, I think that's kind of what's different about the way that I approach LPF, is because I train in this way, so I understand that it can't be perfect. So as a bodybuilder who teaches LPF, I've had to find this like middle ground, something that'll work for my athletes.
I love
so yes, I'm okay with the belt. I wear a belt myself for my heavy sets, but gotta do your vacuums in the morning because that does the opposite, and just
it's like
repositions everything in a good place.
It's like a short-term tool, kind of. Yeah. Just Like you were saying,
it's like I use this analogy. It's like a safety net. It's just like when you're driving down a highway and there's no guardrails, you're going to be very cautious, right? And when you put the guardrails up, you can hit the gas and you can go through safely, confidently, and that's what the belt does. It just gives you that confidence that, like, I can do this, and I have that brace. Like, I can create. That's really what your brain isn't thinking this, but that's what's happening is you trust yourself more to lift heavier because you know that you can create enough pressure with the belt to stabilize your spine. But without a belt, for a lot of people, when the weight gets really, really heavy, they can't. And that's just because, maybe your core isn't as strong as your legs and it can lift, right?
And I'm sure that's really common in wellness too, like more so.
Sorry?
I'm sure that's even more so common in wellness because of how much training volume.
Those wellness girls, and it's, you still see like the wellness girls like that do a lot of LPF that got the waist trainer in the belt, and it's hard. I think it's hard to ignore the noise. It's so hard. And when you see, like, even the other day, I love Isabel Nunes. She's just probably the reason that I came back to compete. Like, I think she's just an amazing ambassador for the sport, an amazing athlete. And the other day I was watching one of her videos and she's got the waist trainer and then she puts the belt on, and she coaches with my LPF coach. And then she puts the belt on top of it and like tightens it so tight. And I'm like, for like a split second, I'm like, maybe I should do. Because
she's doing it.
That's what happens, right?
It is. Yeah.
Like, well, she's doing it, and like, but I'm like, no, it's not. This is not good. And like, you can't compare yourself to people with exceptional genetics. And people who maybe haven't had kids and who don't. Like, if I constantly go around in a waist train, I'm like, I don't know how strong my pelvic floor is. Like, right? I'm not shoving everything down, but And the other thing with a belt that's like nice is, you can take it off. Like, you can take it off after the set, and like, find your posture, grow through the top of your head stuff.
Yes. Yes, and all the cues.
All the cues.
For sure.
Find that engagement again so that you're not constantly, whereas like with the waist trainer, you're going to maintain that like push down.
Yeah.
Bad posture.
Yeah.
I feel like.
Do you guys all vacuum? I know Steph does.
Yes. I do.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
I feel
Well,
I feel like there's a lot of technique that I could improve because I haven't had someone
instruct me
or like
we should have done like a
correct me.
session.
Yes, that's what we should have done. Because I'm listening to you talk, and I'm like I've never had an issue with core control. I've always had a very small waist on stage. Like no one's ever given me feedback on core, right? Or rib cage or anything. So and I do my vacuums and everything, but I'm sitting here listening, like, there's got to be so much more I could do.
Oh, yeah.
Like, even though it's never been my feedback, you can always improve. And I'm like, do I really know how to engage?
Sometimes just improve how you feel, too.
Yeah.
Like, for some athletes, and I've had athletes reach out to me that I'm just, like, looking at their stage pictures and I'm, like, thinking, why do they need this? But, and almost sometimes I go into sessions and I'm, like, worried that I'm, like, oh, my God, I don't want to be able to help this person. Like, look at her waist. It's teeny tiny, But, the feedback's always like, oh, well, like now that I'm posing, I can feel myself engaged. Like I'm not worried that my core is coming out.
More confident that they're like holding it. They can hold it on stage. More confident.
They can hold it, but they are also like, some people hold it great, but they don't have as much connection. And it's like, you're not as confident, you know? Like once you know what it feels like for your core to be held in, you'll always have that on stage. And there's in a moment where you're like, oh shit, is my core out? I should suck it in. Because
you're not second guessing yourself as much.
So and it's like I said, it's a process. It takes time, and show day is never easy. There's always the unexpected 600 grams of rice that you end up eating or something, right? Yes.
When would...
So...
Go ahead.
Oh, I was going to ask, like, when would be a good time for a client? Like, when do you like a client to come to you, to start working with you?
Like, when Steph came, that was perfect. She came in her off season, but I think, she was still... You were, like, maintaining pretty good in your off season.
Yeah. I think it was... I want to say July, maybe June, maybe July, something like that.
Yeah,
so it would have been
something like that. Yeah.
5 months.
So in your off season, but also like in your off season at a stage where you can commit to the process. Because I've had girls reach out to me in their off season. We went through it, and then they kind of fall off. Like I don't know, maybe they're still doing it. I always say like you only have to see me once. Like you don't like if you just know how to vacuum properly, that's all you need. But I've had situations where like months later they're like, oh, I'm in prep now, can we do another one? And I get on with them and like they forgot how to vacuum, and I'm like, have you been practicing? No. So it's just off season but ready, like working. But sometimes when we're in our off season, we want like nothing to do with bodybuilding. We're just like, we need a break, right? We don't want to pose, we don't want to do our vacuums, we don't and that's okay. That's okay to take that time. But also don't start LPF, because the whole reason to do it is
the consistency.
It needs
consistently do it.
The repetition.
You start in your off season, especially like, so if you come off a show, you have those pictures, you start in your off season, you do it, and then you go and prep again. That's when you'll really see the difference.
Huge.
Yeah, it's like that's your improvement season. Like when you're building the muscle, you're building those muscles as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Sorry, I should say improvement season. No. But yeah, and like core control, like not having that as feedback, I feel like it's always something that we can improve. Also, just like the size of our waist. It's crazy how small you can make your waist if you work this muscle. Like if this muscle is tighter and stronger, it's like you can really, it's not uncommon for girls to lose like 2 inches.
Oh, wow.
Like, an inch and a half, at least an inch and a half, 2 inches, but like in a full year.
Because I think that you're almost breathing, like for me, it was almost breathing the opposite way. And so it's not even just the mind muscle connection for sure, but also, you know, when you get on stage and there's so much going on that I think having that consistency is like posing, like having that consistency early so that even when you revert to what you practiced, which everyone does when you're kind of in that, I don't want to say panic situation, but like high stress situation, that I'm not going back to belly breathing and forgetting everything, and it's just kind of a norm. So the more that you practice earlier, it just becomes your normal way of breathing. Because I know even, you know, when I'm working, I try to, or I think you even said in the car, right? I try to remember to, you know, think about my exhale as bringing my ribs together instead of, you know, inhaling.
And posture. Posture is such a big one, you know, because if your breath is good, your posture is good. That's the first way to find a diaphragmatic breath. So when I say diaphragmatic breath, I mean, you know, keeping your breath in your rib cage. So it doesn't mean your stomach's not going to move at all. It will move a little bit. Everything's connected by fascia, but it just means that you're not really blowing out through your stomach. So I would say for most, maybe 90% of the athletes that I meet, I'll have them lay down and we'll take some breaths and their stomach just goes like it's almost all the air is going through their stomach. And so we kind of try to get you out of that with learning how to breathe properly. So LPF is divided into 3 parts, and all 3 are very equally important. People always come for the vacuum. They just want to learn how to vacuum, and they think that's the most important part. And it is important because when we're vacuuming, we're getting the maximal contraction of the transverse muscle. So that's like the top set for that muscle. But the breath work is also very important, and even more so important, I think, for competitors, because being able to breathe while you feel engagement in your core is so important. And it takes a 10-minute practice. Vacuuming is, let's say, like 10 minutes of your day, and turns it into like a, you know, 10-hour practice. Like if 10 out of the, I don't know how many hours we're awake, like 8, no, more, 10. You know, you can have this good posture and nice breathing. Think about how far you'll come. And then the third part is diaphragm release, which we always talk about too at Steph. Is just, you know, we all go and get our traps and glutes and everything like that released, and then nobody gets their diaphragm released. And so the nice thing about diaphragm release is that we can do it ourselves. And before we start any low pressure fitness session, I always say, release your diaphragm. We talk about that. I'll teach you how to do that as well, because having your diaphragm soft, like any other muscle in the body, it can move better, and you just feel like you can. And I think did you have yours professionally? You went to do it at an RMT or not?
Yeah, when I did, I had my massage therapist kind of work on, like you said, she works on my glutes, she works on my traps, but I also did have her do a diaphragm release. And it's crazy, just like any other muscle, it's so much easier. You don't realize that it's stiff until you kind of,
and then you can breathe.
Release it a little bit, and then you realize that you can, you know, scoop it in a little further and just have it be a little bit more flexible. So I even try like doing it at home a little bit. It's not comfortable. It's just not comfortable at all.
And there's different ways you can do. So like the way that I love doing it is I love taking 2 balls. We did those. Remember Seth with the balls? So did you use lacrosse balls?
Yeah, I used lacrosse. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So like maybe that's why you didn't like it, but you can use tennis balls if you're tight. I think tennis balls are better because they're squishier, and you just put them like under your ribs. So I like to put them closer to the bottom of your sternum, and just lay on them. Just lay on them and put your arms out to the side, put your head on the floor, and just lay and just breathe. But as you're breathing, think about your rib cage opening and kind of recoiling, opening and recoiling, and don't allow yourself to come off the tennis balls. So like make them sink. Like the breathing is lateral costal. So, you know, lateral movements in your rib cage. So as you breathe, you should be rising. We want to, you know, it's kind of like a what's it called? Like the trigger point release. Like,
yeah, that's exactly.
I don't know if that's, I'm not like an RMT, but anyways, I just love doing that. And I find for me, if I am tight, I'll like lay on them and it'll be painful. But then after, 30 seconds, I'm like, oh, it's like just feels so good. Because our diaphragms get tight, and they get tight all day. We're sitting there like all hunched over and like not breathing properly, and your diaphragm just gets tight. Another trick I'll tell athletes is like put a dot of nail, like a little heart or something on like one of your nails, so that when you're texting, like something that'll catch your attention. So when you're texting, you're just like, oh, what's that? And then you're like, what's my posture right now? Oh yeah, they're like, because it's hard so many times you're just like, so and I do too. It's not like I could teach it. I'm not perfect, right? So I always have to catch myself, but it makes a big difference. Those little things makes it's that 1% difference later on.
That's a huge difference.
Is there do you have opinions on different core training, like different like core exercises, or based on your experience with LPF and everything?
Yeah, so that's a great question. I always ask what else the athlete is doing for core, because I like to get a full picture. I don't like anything. I don't like crunches. I shouldn't say I don't like it. I think there's, again, a time and place for crunches, but I will say that, again, when you're doing things like squats, RDLs, things like that, you're bracing your core so much, like your external, your six pack, like you're already working it. So to add even, again, more crunches that, again, are making a high pressure environment, it's just, I feel like it's overkill for most bikini athletes, unless you really need definition in your core, which if you do, that's a different story, and that's like a coaching call. But for most of the athletes, I think like those kinds of exercises, like leg lifts, even the decline, like the bench, anything you're doing that's putting any sort of extra weight for you to bring your legs in to crunch, is just going to thicken your abs. It's going to thicken your waist. It's doing the opposite. There's those muscle fibers, that the outside abs, the six pack, they are prone to hypertrophy. Your transverse, the type of muscle fiber it is not as prone to hypertrophy. Like, it's not as easy to hypertrophy. So we want to strengthen the transverse, right? We don't want to hypertrophy our abs. I like Pilates.
Yeah.
I think Pilates is great. I think Pilates also has a big focus on bringing your rib cage in. So, engaging the transverse. And because a lot of first of all, when I say like Pilates, like I don't like when they put like the springs and it's all weighted and stuff like that. But I think that a lot of like the body weight stuff is actually not bad. And I've actually suggested that to some athletes. It's like, maybe let's see you doing like Pilates once a week rather than all these crunches or like weighted things in the gym. And, being able to control your breath while you're holding those movements. Also, those are static movements. So you're not like lengthening and contracting a muscle. It's a static hold. So again, less likely to thicken the muscle. But really good for the transverse to like hold it and then focus on your breathing. So really good for conditioning. But again, it's case by case. I'm never against one thing, it depends on the athlete. But for the most part, I say like definitely don't do anything weighted in the gym if you're bikini, fit model, wellness. Well, actually, pretty much anything. Just don't, unless you're like men's bodybuilding. Like I don't think you need to.
I was going to ask, with posing conditioning, what exercises or regimen should you do to get, I guess, stronger in terms of just being able to control your core, hold it through some of the, like, I know we have like certain LPF positions, but then sometimes, I guess, taking those techniques and then transferring it to the stage and the posing positions that we have, it can sometimes be a little different.
So that's why I like to start LPF early, because I'll have athletes that'll come and they want help with core control in their posing, but they haven't like mastered core control in coming out of a vacuum. So like they don't know how to bring that rib cage together, pull the stomach in, like how we do at the end of a vacuum. So it's super hard to teach it. But I think like once you've been doing LPF for a while, you have that connection. And so then, sometimes before we get into posing, I think I did this with you, is like, let's say we're just doing the lay down vacuums at the end of the vacuum. So we'll vacuum, inhale, and then exhale, close the ribs, find that engagement, find that belly button kind of drawn in tight. And then I'll say, okay, now I want you to take a small inhale. And as you exhale, think of closing a corset. Think of tightening a waist trainer. Think of that rib cage just cinching together. So then again, small inhale, because on stage, we don't want to do this, right? And flare our rib cage, lose our posture. We just want small inhale. Think of lengthening your spine always. And as you exhale, think of keeping that length in your spine. The only thing that closes is your rib cage. So work those long exhales, closing the rib cage. And this comes very natural. That's why it was so great for you, Steph, is that like you had been doing the LPF. So, we started doing that in the laying down vacuums. And this, when I use the word LPF, like this is an LPF. Like LPF would never tell you to like hold that and do shallow breaths. This is like, Doug started working with bodybuilding,
LPF.
Yeah.
This is just, how do I connect this? And there's actually a really good wellness pro, Lisa, can't say her last name. I think she's German. I'm gonna butcher the last name. But anyways, I don't know if I sent you her. She did a post about how she sets her stomach up for posing coming out of a vacuum. So she'll do a standing up vacuum, and then she'll inhale, exhale, set her rib cage, and then she keeps her breath up here. She like shows it, and then she goes into her vacuum while she has that engagement from the end of the vacuum, because that's really when you can feel it the best. Yeah. Because your transverse fully contracted to get you into that vacuum. So then when you exhale, you still kind of have that, it's almost like a pump, like you just feel it. So you're not it's just good to make that connection. And then you could do it without vacuuming. Right. Like you don't need to vacuum anymore.
Because you're not holding a vacuum on stage. It's more just that when you do it to the max, it's like you feel that mind muscle connection, and then you're kind of doing, and I'm picking a random number, but you're doing like 50% of that on stage.
You don't want to like, exactly. You don't want to like think of over contracting, because then what's going to happen? You're going to like contract your six pack, and you're going to like pop out, right? But you don't want to like dome out. That's what happens when you contract your rectus. But you also don't want to suck it in. Like sucking in is not a good cue, in my opinion. But that's what we've all been taught. And you still see a lot of pros, bikini pros, wellness pros on stage doing it. And a lot of them get away with it because they otherwise have beautiful physiques. But how much better would they be if they didn't do that? Right? So it just, it makes your whole physique flow so much nicer when your rib cage is tucked in. And
I think it helps your confidence too, because like just imagine your confidence if you're holding your breath, like the anxiety, not even anxiety of just like trying to like, and you can only do it for so long, and then your confidence to some extent is kind of dependent on which show you're doing, how long they're going to keep you on stage, like have you, I don't know, I don't think you can ever practice holding your breath
exactly
for ever.
And there's so much like calmness that comes from the exhale.
And
right? Like if you ask any like breath work practitioner, yoga instructor, it's all about that exhale and just releasing. Like the inhale it's a sympathetic, like it's the fight or flight when you inhale. And then as you exhale, you actually engage like your parasympathetic, your rest and digest and relax, and you're not running away from like the tiger anymore. So having that ability to exhale confidently on stage, knowing that your stomach isn't going to pop out, because actually it's usually surprising to most people on the inhale that the stomach blows out, not the exhale. The exhale, it's actually very intuitive to pull your stomach in. If you think about it, like if you sit there right now and you...
I just did it.
Think of exhaling and pulling your stomach in. You'll feel your transverse engage. So it's not the, it's the, usually the inhale where girls will lose their stomach. So, you know, keep those inhales small and work the exhales. And it really does bring down your nervous system on stage. So it's just like, you know, you could be held there forever. And I know, Lauren, you're going to be held forever probably.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Right? Like you're getting ready to.
I've been trying to do some posing endurance is what I've been calling it.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Posing endurance. So like, you know, when you're practicing that, you know, you can practice like extending some of your exhales. I say like through your teeth, right? Like, so inhale through the nose and then shh. And as you're, you know, keep your posture, but deflate the balloon, close the rib cage. It's not, nobody's going to see, it's going to look like you're not even moving on stage, but to you, releasing all that air, all that carbon dioxide, it's just going to be like you're going to feel better. You're going to feel more in control instead of being sucked in and being like, you know, like this kind of dancing on stage where you're just like, I'm going to pass out. Right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, at the end of the day, you still have to like hold your glutes up and everything like that. And that alone is going to suck a long time. But
it's one less thing.
You know,
it's one less thing.
Sorry?
I said it's one less thing.
One less thing to think about, right? Yeah. So the conditioning, you know, when you're conditioning your poses, it's like should be more to, yes, you know, hold your core for sure. But if you have a strong core and you've been working with vacuums and everything like that, it's the conditioning part of it is all just how much can my lower back take right now.
Yeah. And what a more enjoyable experience on stage if you aren't having to worry about that or think about as many things. You know, you can actually be more present, and like we've all worked so hard for months and months and months to get to this stage. And it's like, it's almost like almost a blackout experience on stage sometimes too. And if you have all these things to think about, it's kind of nice.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you probably can be more present.
It's for everybody, you know, it's like, honestly, like as much, like I've been doing LPF for years and it's that show day. It's the show, no matter what, you know, show day's show day. And it's never going to be perfect, like practice. Well, I mean, maybe it will be. I hope it will be for you.
Hope so.
You know, there's always that excitement, but being able to control your breath just gives you this superpower because your breath is connected to everything. It's connected to mobility. It's connected to how you feel. It's just, if you're shaky, if you can control that breath, it just helps so much. Yeah. So, and it gives you that kind of like routine. Like it's just, we build breath, almost like a breathing routine into the routine. So, you know, we know like, okay, before you turn around, you're going to do a full exhale so that your stomach is engaged. Great stuff.
Yes.
All of this is
it's like breathing choreography.
Yes.
It's like breathing. Like because we choreograph posing moves and like at certain times we'd do certain moves for certain transitions, and so it's like breathing choreography for your posing routine.
100%.
Yeah.
And you should have it, especially for your routine. Yeah. Because you can time that. You know exactly when you're gonna turn and what you're going to do next. So versus when you're doing your transitions on stage, are you guys are all bikini, right?
Yeah. Yep.
All bikini, yeah. So you only have to go front to back.
No quarter turns.
My glutes will never get that big.
Back side.
Yeah.
Right. So you just never know where they're going to take you. And so knowing that, but you know, because the inhales are so short, even if they say turn to the back, so you know, small inhale, transition, exhale, turn. And then when you turn back, small inhale. As you turn, exhale, make sure that all the air is out. Like those it's different for everybody because everybody's transition. I always have the athlete like show me your transition so that we know exactly when you're going to take your breath. And then the best is when they change their transition. They just they're like, I don't know when to breathe. So don't marry it. Don't marry the breathing routine, but it's good to have in your back pocket. You kind of know what to do after you've practiced it so much.
Yeah, and I love just how much it relates. We work on so many different aspects throughout prep, and we talk about even in training, like mind-muscle connection, and just like having that to your breath has to feel like even whole, just like outside of posing or outside of competing too. Being able to help yourself with stressful situations, improved posture, and even like we're so connected to our guts, just even in overall health. I'm sure like having less pressure on your digestive system has a lot of like just overall health benefits. And
well, so, I don't know about if you've ever experienced that, but like after vacuums, or like, do you ever feel, I have athletes sometimes who are just like, I have to go to the washroom like after that because
it helps
like
you
I said,
move.
It's your parasympathetic nervous system. It's rest and digest. Mm-hmm. So if you're somebody that's really tense and you take that time to breathe and, do these slow vacuums and relax yourself, that's really going to help get things going. Not only that, the diaphragm release, but yeah, it's great all around. I love LPF. It's helped me so much in, so many ways. It's like my time in the morning. I put on I'm old, so I listen to John Mayer, but I don't know. Do you know who he is now?
Yes, we do.
Could be worse. It could have been like the Beatles.
You're not that old.
Put on like some slow songs, and then I'll just like do my vacuums, and it's just like this chill time. And I still see my LPF coach. I try to see her once or twice a week, Karina. So, if anybody's listening to this, Karina Anji is someone to reach out to in case I'm not taking athletes, because I am in prep right now myself. So, and she's wonderful as well.
Awesome. Yeah. No, like I feel like I'm just like excited to like even like think about learning more too.
I know.
And I know a lot of our listeners have asked, like you've answered a lot of questions that people have asked us, like with even in regards to waist trainers, belts, even just like what is vacuuming, what is LPF, and they hear a lot of our updates, and especially like Steph talking about different things with pelvic floor health and even working with you. So we've all reached questions on like, well, what does that do or how much? So I'm sure a lot of our listeners are just so grateful for like you taking the time to come on here and explain all of that to them.
Yeah, it's my pleasure. Thank you for having me on. I mean, I hope more bodybuilders look into this and start it. I think it's definitely trending right now. A lot more competitors are starting. I've even had some guys reach out.
I was going to ask you if.
Awesome.
Yeah, I was going to.
Physique guys.
Yeah.
So,
their waists really matter.
Well, I think it's cool. It's because like, there's a lot of platforms like this, like podcasting, social media. So there's more resources now. So that's like, even when it's like trendy, it's because like, it's just being talked about more. And I think you're able to share your knowledge on this. And even me, I'm over here like, oh, I've always had a tight core. I've always been fine. But I'm like, no, I hold my breath all the time. Like, I'm like, I know there's so much with my breathing that I could like now learn. And
the thing is like, sometimes, like I remember when I first started competing, core was an issue for me. And so I started doing the vacuums and everything, and it got better. But then there was a point where it got worse again. And I think it was because like after I came back from my off season, like I put on more muscle. Sorry, my improvement season. I really I put on so much muscle, and I say so much muscle, like a pound. But anyways, I put on more muscle. For whatever reason, my metabolism was better that prep, because the preps always change.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, and this was also like my first experience with Drew, is like, he gets you full for those shows. Yeah. So, I think like the day before one of the shows, like Republic I was eating like 600 grams of carbs, 650 the day of the show. He had me like pounding back like rice and pineapple. And I was like, shit, like, this teeny tiny core, like, sure, it was easy to have a teeny tiny core when,
it's empty.
I call myself like Little Doug when I started competing, and like, it was just like I had barely any food on show day. Like I'd have one meal with rice, and then all of a sudden it's like, no, eat more. Backstage, we're like eating bags of Sour Patch watermelons. Just, I don't love the Sour Patch watermelons, but
I have a question on.
It changes, right? Your core control can change too, show to show.
I have a question on that. Do you have, because when we do a lot of times our LPF work, vacuum work, it's in the morning, like empty stomach. Do you have people work on it while with food in their bellies? Because since we're eating, you know, on show day and we have food.
Yeah, that's a great question. So
Yeah.
the answer to that is LPF, low pressure fitness, is completely separate from posing.
Okay.
So when we do low pressure fitness, we are training our transverse.
Okay.
In order to properly train your transverse, you need to get the deepest vacuum possible. In
Got
order
it.
to do that, you should be fasted.
Okay.
At least overnight, or at least I would say an hour and a half, 2 hours, depending on what you ate. If you eat something that's like very easily digested, maybe an hour should be fine. Posing is different. So we're not vacuuming on stage.
Right.
We're not training our transverse on stage. If I'm teaching you how to connect to your core and we're, you know, in a bikini, you're posing, sure, you know, eat an hour before or have your pumped up food before just to like test it out.
Right.
But this is not
Separate.
This is not a transverse training.
Okay,
You
that
know,
makes
so you have to
sense.
look at your, and that's, I would say like the biggest thing the biggest lesson I have to teach competitors when I start working with them is they'll have them show me how they vacuum, and then they hold the vacuum, and it's pretty good, and then they start to breathe while holding their vacuum, and they're like, and then they start talking to me. They're like, and then I try to hold it for like, you know, as long as I can. Usually I could do a minute or 2 minutes. So as soon as somebody tells me they're holding their vacuum for a minute, I'm like, no, you're not.
Yeah.
Nobody can hold a vacuum. Maybe someone out there, but like, if you're breathing, the vacuum's broken. So there's a confusion between stomach vacuums,
Right.
posing, bodybuilding, separate things.
Separate.
Right? Do your
Yep.
vacuums, train your transverse. Same way as like you take that hour or whatever, train your glutes, so you do your 10 minutes of transverse training. And then posing is
It's a separate thing.
don't
Yeah.
vacuum.
Yeah.
Like
Yep.
I love it. That's really good.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes
Yeah,
sense.
because then they're like, you know, oh yeah, then I vacuum and I hold it because, you know, that's how I condition for the stage. No. You know, and then having them unlearn all of that takes some time.
Cool.
So, and I, you know, again, I still have to unlearn it too. I did it too. So it was only, I would say, recently that I would say within like the last, I don't know, since the last time I did the Ben Weeder, that I really trying to let go of that like vacuum on stage, because you know I didn't really. I'm also like, I feel like I'm somewhat like new to competing in a way. Even though I've been doing this for 5 years, I feel like I'm like learning. So you learn so many things, right? Like about posing and what the judges are looking for all the time. And I didn't think that was like a bad thing to have your ribs showing for the longest time. Until it came out. I think it was one of the who was it in wellness, she won the Arnold's, and she got that feedback from Tyler. It was she's good. She might win Olympia this year. Why can't I think of Eduarda?
Oh, yes. I was like, I know who you're talking about.
She does vacuum a lot in her posing.
Right. So she doesn't do it anymore, but as much. But, I mean, we'll see it at the Olympia, but I've seen from her check-ins. But she used to hold a vacuum, and that's what I heard, is that Tyler gave her that feedback, but not to vacuum on stage. So I was like, oh.
It's a hard thing to unlearn, and I know that like even though we've been you know, working on it and working on my posing through breathing, it's like almost every third check-in, or I look at the video and I'm like, oh, I'm doing it again, and it's just kind of having to go back, and then
muscle memory is sometimes so hard to break. It's so hard, and it's just repetition, and we're tired, right? Like on top of this, we have to train, and I got these kids and dental practices and all this other stuff, so it's really hard to break bad habits. You have to really put in the time.
It's just the consistency.
You're getting it, Steph. Like, you're so much better than when you started.
Little by little. But I think, like you said, that 10 minutes a day, instead of like committing, you know, I'm going to do an hour, I'm going to do whatever, it's more like breaking it down into like little chunks. And I feel like the more that you, I guess, the more frequently you do it, the better, as opposed to the length of time.
But even if you don't do it as frequently as someone else, like even if you're not vacuuming every day, I would rather, you know, 5 days a week, maybe 3 to 5 days a week of good dedicated vacuum practice. That's going to give you a difference if you're going from nothing, right? And even if you are vacuuming most of the time we can make it better if you haven't learned from an LPF perspective.
I think
because most people have learned on YouTube.
What's nice about your coaching too is that I know when I first started, I'm not as great anymore, but when I first started, I would send like check-ins throughout the week of like, you know, how my vacuum was going. I think one of my check-ins
and
I
your
even
essays.
like, yeah, one of my check-ins I even wrote down, like I was like, this is what I'm doing, step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4.
And she sent me like this long message, and I'm like, what is going on here? And I open it, and it's like, okay, this is how I broke down the vacuum. And it's like step by step, like exactly the. And I'm like, I was like, can I use this?
Can I use this?
See, I knew at one point in this episode we were gonna laugh at Steph. I knew that.
Oh, that's funny.
But you told on yourself.
I know.
It was amazing. I was, it reminded me of the time that, like, in physiology in undergrad, I took such good notes that the teacher asked for them. Yeah. And I felt like the teacher at that point.
My nerdy side came out.
I love it though.
I want to print it. But anyways, so I do check-ins the first, I would say, what did I say, like 2 days, depending on, how much support you need. Like some people just get it, and I'll say check in the next day. Mm-hmm. But if you need more support, we check in over the next couple of days, because that's when you're going to really progress. Especially, Steph was saying, she was an ab gripper, so it was just this constant reminder to just let go of your abs. And that's why you have such great abs, right? Because you're so used to contracting them. Mm-hmm. That's what you revert to.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So we just kept working on that, and you were good. You were so dedicated, so committed.
Cues, all the
cues. She sent videos all the time. She's like, what do you think of this? I think I got it. There was one video she sent me, and she was looking at the camera, and I'm like, it's really good, but stop looking at the camera. Just staring up. We want our head to be like out. We want this airway open. Yeah. And Steph's like,
I'm like, am I doing it? Am I doing it right? Am I doing it? But no, it's really, really good to have those.
It's been great to work with you, honestly.
Yes,
she's I always have to book her last, because our conversations end up just being about like skincare and what new device we're gonna try.
Yeah. Oh yeah, she loves her devices.
I love all the things, all the skincare.
I have to run everything I'm doing by her.
Mm-hmm.
Let me go for this. Absolutely. Except I didn't run the peel before I went to Scottsdale.
Oh yes.
And went on the podcast with Drew and Jamie. I went and got a chemical peel like an idiot. And I was like, why did I do that?
Oh, right before?
I'm like breaking out like crazy.
So she came and she was like,
oh no.
Healing. She was like, can you see it? I'm like,
oh yeah, and then I saw you. You were there. Oh yeah, so you came to Scottsdale. Yeah. Remember I was telling you, it was like, I went and got a peel.
It was one of those moments. You're like, am I peeling? Does it look like I'm peeling?
Yeah.
No, that's the best. I'm like, is it bad? I have it like all covered up, and she's like, can barely even notice. Yeah. Cystic acne.
Yeah. Like put lots of lotion on the plane.
Yes. She's like, just put lotion. Oh man.
That's funny.
We've all come on this podcast after peels.
Oh yeah.
All of us.
Oh yeah.
We all either have like a hat on, or like we all have like, or like it's just one day you're like,
you're just hiding.
We're just accepting it.
Yep.
It's worth the beauty.
Absolutely.
For sure. But at least you guys get to come back. You get to come back to another podcast where your skin is
the glowing.
This is like my one time I flew to Scottsdale. No, it was fine. Yeah. Drew made fun of me. But
I love all the
great.
connections that you make throughout like your bodybuilding career and everything, and like to what you said in terms of continuing to learn, even with all of us switching coaches and joining Fit Body Fusion. I felt like I was starting
all over.
You kind of are.
Yeah.
But I love that part of it, honestly, because to me it doesn't get boring in that way. It's like you're always challenging yourself, and there's always things you can improve on and get better at.
Exactly. It's never ending, and that's just like bodybuilding as a sport, right?
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, as much as we say like we don't need motivation, it's like a lifestyle discipline, but all these changes, all these things you add, they motivate you, right? Yeah. When you start LPF and you're just like, oh, like.
There's
my waist is going to get even more snatched.
Yeah.
I'm so excited. Like, you get motivated by it. And we need that, like, to keep ourselves going. changing coaches,
Yep.
it motivates you. It's different. Doesn't mean that it's better, or it's different, and change is exciting. So
yeah, and the most successful athletes, or even just persons in like business and careers, are the people that are always wanting to evolve and learn.
Yep.
Being a student of whatever discipline that you're in is where you see the most success, and so it's really inspiring to take pieces from all the different people that you meet and all the different persons and really like apply and evolve.
sure.
And that's the people who stick around and keep going because they're always hungry for more and learning, and it becomes a more positive experience when you evolve and see true progress.
Right. You have to have so many. I feel like I've had so many different versions of myself.
Yes.
Like, the dentist, and then work, just dentistry, entrepreneur, and then turn into full-time mom, and did that for a while. Then I'm like, I'm going to become a bodybuilder. So now I'm doing that, and my husband's like, oh, when is this?
Never.
What's next? When is
You're like, I'll let you know.
shift?
Sit still.
So yeah, no, you have to always have to evolve, always have to learn,
Yeah.
and better, make yourself better. That's what makes life interesting.
Yeah.
Yes. I love
Well,
it.
I feel like I've learned a ton.
A ton.
Actually. I'm
Yeah.
like sitting here, I'm like, we're gonna. This
Yes.
is an episode I will rewatch. Like,
Yes.
Most of the time I don't want to watch myself talk, but this I'm gonna watch you.
Yes.
I love it.
That's awesome. I'm so glad. Thank you so much for having me. This was so much fun.
No, thank you.
Yeah, I hope you guys, work those exhales and keep doing your vacuums. Just know it's going to pay off.
Yeah.
Yes.
And before we end, how can our listeners and viewers find you on social media?
Yeah, so you can find me at Dr. Dove, DOVE _ IFBB Pro. That's my Instagram, and that's probably the best way to reach me. I will tell everybody that sometimes if I'm like super busy, I do kind of shut down. So if I don't get back to you, I'm not being mean. I just sometimes get off. But that also means that I'm probably not teaching that much. So I am taking a little bit of a, right now, I don't know when this is going to come out, but right now until probably the end of the year, I'm not taking on new athletes just to focus on my business. And so I am sending everybody to my coach, who is fantastic. Her and I teach in a very similar way. She also works with a lot of bodybuilders. Nice. And even when I am teaching, I always recommend that people take classes with everybody, learn from everybody. So, so if I'm taking on athletes and you want to join me, learn vacuums, then you can message me there.
And we think it's more just ourselves. So.
Yeah.
That's all we have left. So thank you again for joining us. And,
thank you.
And we'll see you soon. Thanks,
Yes,
Besties.
thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye.